Good afternoon. Yes, we are back with Public Relations N5 course, and it is Module 5 where we're doing social skills as well as the Public Relations Protocol when it comes to how you behave in certain scenarios. Remember, Public Relations is all about having to upgrade or uplift the image or reputation of the company. So we also need to have the mannerisms in order to establish that image. So we know that the Public Relations Institute of South Africa also lays down a ethical code of conduct. And that code of conduct we've dealt with in chapter or module 1 and in module 2, and it continues to safeguard us and underscore whatever we do throughout our public relations course. So now on page 78 in your textbooks, you'll find the different guidelines as to communication styles, communication breakthroughs, as to how to bring the message across and to uplift or make the wrong the right about the image of the firm. So now on page 78 we look at how to deal honestly, the reliability of the information, the accuracy of the information, as well as how to recommend ways to underscore the organization services, etc. I'm not going to go in detail about what is in your textbook. This video online is to give you added information, not something that you just can get into your textbook, so that you can actually understand what is the core content within your textbook. So I'm going to look at Ethical Code of PRISA, and this is the document that outlines the entire code of conduct, but because we are dealing with communication, we are going to zone in on that specific scenario. So I think it's on page 20. Let's look if it's on page 20. This is a PDF, unfortunately, document, and we're going to look right at, it's about article 13 or 14. Yes, let's look at the internal confidentiality. If you look at that, how corporate image and reputation is dealt with. And we know that corporate is business and image is the entire, how it portrays the mirror out there. So how does the public see the business in the how does the public see the organization within the business world? So all professionals need to conduct them in a certain way with utmost care, so that they do not tarnish the image of the business. We're looking at value systems in this document, and PRISA, this institution, has laid down very strongly the guidelines as to how business officials need to operate and conduct themselves. There must be internal confidentiality, not laying out the secrets of the business, because then if you're going to give the information out to your competitors or to the public at whim, they will use that very same information against the business. It must be truthful, and if I can clearly remember in module 1, we know that it must be authentic. So whatever you say, it must be underpinned with the fact. It must be legal. We do not want to be in court cases all the time. It must respect group professionals, shall always use an appropriate tone and language complying with prevailing social conventions. You cannot stand and swear, for example, or use vulgar language. It must be appropriate with the audience that you are addressing. So you must have the normal respect, grammar, spelling, etc. Responsibility for the sources that you are using. So I just said now that this document is underscoring the conduct of public relations officials. These slideshows or online videos is to also attribute or contribute to what is in the textbook. So with public relations, we will always have that attributory factors that will try and support what is being said by the public relations official. How you handle information, due diligence in crisis resolution, and can you imagine how these officials now in the world needs to conduct themselves, having to paint this big picture and make it beautiful for the public. This picture where there's no masks and hygiene equipment, etc. When the nurses or the medical staff goes on strike, how the public relations officer needs to come in now and spin this crisis situation and make it acceptable for the public to see. Because remember, it's all about the image that you need to uphold there. You don't want your public to lose confidence within your organization. So here's the public wanting medical attention, and they see the medical officials outside, or medical practitioners outside striking. The public relations officer need to make the public now, they must sensitize the public to the scenario, this crisis scenario. So we need to know how to handle information when you are in a crisis. You can't just off whim just ram off your mouth to news reporters or to press releases, etc. You must have common sense. You need to conduct yourself in a common sense manner. In digital environments such as private blogs or social networks and profiles. The latest one now is WhatsApp. The law has now instituted a restriction as to how admin on WhatsApp groups needs to conduct themselves. If they are going to portray or say some gossip information or false information, or they're going to say or allude to pictures that is false, they can have them be brought to court and have legal steps being taken against them. So we have those kind of scenarios as well. So yes, that we live in a digital environment, and as PR officers of the future, we need to be aware of this, and we need to be okay with all these mechanisms that is out there to use to your or at your disposal. I'm going to step off PRISA, as PRISA is on page 78, and then we are going to move on to the different communication styles, and that is so important. But before I touch that, I just want to round up PRISA. PRISA is a code of conduct that is on etiquette, and etiquette is a behavior. You don't go, gentlemen, you would give way for the lady to walk first, but that is also due to a certain culture. Because I know if for example, I was teaching in a class school where the guy walked right in front of me, and I found it very strange. Why would he walk in front of me? And I asked one of the learners there, and they said, no ma'am, in our culture, the man goes ahead to check if there's danger. Now in westernized society, we know we say ladies first. So depending on what is going to be the scenario, you need to adapt. So that's etiquette. You sit at a table with not your elbows on the table while you're eating. You sit with your fork in your left hand and your knife in your right hand. You put the napkin on your lap, etc. That's etiquette. So when we talk about the behaviorism in organizations, it will underpin what is the code of conduct. How do you behave? And I've gone through in the previous document as to how it is applicable in the different scenarios. Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to talking about or sharing information about the different communication styles.